So this is my, well, I don't really have main gun and backup gun. I shoot both guns pretty much equally. Yeah, this Dawson sight still loose. I've got a couple of the extreme ones coming that have the bigger set screw, because I've never been able to get these to stay. Red Loctite, the whole deal. They've just always wiggled just a little bit. But otherwise, this gun is pretty darn filthy. I need to do a full tear down and deep clean. But today, probably just do a little bit just to test my camera, just to see what you guys can see. Yeah, let's do the extractor. That's a good one that we'll need to get done eventually. So this guy. So put the block on something hard. If you put it on the mat, it just makes it harder to hammer the pin out. And then I always come from the bottom, just because it seems like there's a less distance for the pin to travel coming from the bottom up to the top. And I just hammer until I can feel the, oh, there we go. So it's like it's grabbed onto the punch. So that tells me that it's on the punch, which means the pin is out far enough that it's not holding any pressure anymore. So then I push in with that, pull out the punch, and this thing comes free. And by free, I mean comes very, very sticky. Holy shit. That is a very dirty extractor. I'd have to check my my maintenance sheet, but I'm guessing probably 5, maybe 10,000 rounds on this thing. Let me get a good view of that for you. Yeah, so there should be a nice nice right angle there where there's really more of a slope. We'll get that guy cleaned out. Holy crap. I gotta get a picture of that with my phone. That said, you know, it's this gun has been working just fine. In fact, I shot about 350 rounds through it yesterday, no hiccups. So, in a way, the extractor is sort of self-cleaning. You know, every time a round slides up, it pushes a little bit of gunk out of the way, but still no reason not to get this guy cleaned. But luckily, it's pretty easy. Hopefully it comes out in one big chunk. Yeah, so that cut is supposed to be roughly square, and you could see it really wasn't a second ago. But again, that's fine. Works fine without it. Scrape out what we can. This is a little single-serve nail polish bottle that I just cut the tip off of. But what that lets me do... Why is there green fiber in there? That should be in here. That way. It's kind of like an inkwell for old fountain pens. Oh man, yeah, I can feel the gunk just putting the hops on. Well, this is why we do it. Got about 2 months until the North Carolina section, and then Nationals is right after that. I find with small parts like this, it's easier to hold the brush still, just move them over it. So that's just getting sort of the main surfaces. And then try and come at all the different angles of the actual extractor face. But yeah, so I just went through all this with my other gun. And there's a bunch of gunk in there. It didn't probably really hurt anything, but as long as I got it out, just scrape it off real quick. I just went through about all this with my other gun. So my other gun broke a trigger turn spring about a week ago, which happens from time to time. I think that's probably the first Tanfoglio TRS I've actually broken. I went through quite a few reduced power ones. Well, I went through 2 of them. One came, I got the gun used, one came on it, and the guy gave it to me with a couple spare TRSs, and I was like, oh, okay, let me just throw one of these in. In fact, hey, here we go. This is actually the TRS. I don't know, kind of morbid, but I like to keep them around, but I don't have any of the old ones left because I threw them out, but I was able to tell. So this is a Tanfoglio one. You can tell that. Nope, not 0. 0, switch to millimeters. You can tell it's an official one because it's like 0.97-ish in that neighborhood. I think the reduced power ones, if you put them on a, that's not a micrometer, what do you call that? Calipers. If you put them on calipers like that, then you end up, I think they might get like 0.8 something instead of 0.9 or, 1.0. So, I didn't know at the time that the TRS I was putting in, because I couldn't really tell the difference. They all look kind of the same to me. I couldn't tell the second one that I put in was another reduced power one, but it was, which was a bummer, because then it broke too. And both of those only lasted maybe 5,000 rounds, something like that. Not very long at all. And so I just ordered a bag of like 5 stock Tanfoglio ones, put that guy in, and then let's see, so that gun's probably got 15,000 rounds on it. So yeah, I mean, Tanfoglio one lasted a good long while. So glad that it broke well before, it broke in dry fire actually. So that was quite amenable to me. And so I just replaced that, and I figured to replace the trigger turn spring, you got to take the lower pretty much all the way apart. And so I figured while I was doing that, I'll do a big deep clean. That time it was about 2 months out from Nationals, and so I said, yeah, that feels about right. And so I just deep cleaned that whole frame, changed the TRS, and then I'll do the same thing with this one, because I mean, you saw how dirty that extractor was. This thing's pretty darn filthy too, but I will leave that for another day. Today we'll just do the slide. So now this thing is, aside from the front side, this thing is pretty much an inert hunk of metal. It's all just one big milling. So we just start cleaning. Where's mine? Here it is. So we just got hoppies and a little needle applicator, and I just kind of go crazy with this stuff because it's the whole thing's gonna get pretty much cleaned out before I worry about. Basically, the whole thing's gonna get doused, so I don't really worry about where this stuff goes. Just slather it on and just start wiping. Yeah, look at that. I will use a Q-tip. In that slot, I will use a Q-tip for little slots and stuff like this, but obviously you don't need them for the big flat surfaces. Nice thing about Q-tips, you can usually use one as the wet end that has the solvent on it, and then you go back over with the dry end, and then you're back in business, and you don't have a lot of solvent just hanging around the Q-tip. Pretty much wherever it goes, it gets everything else out with it. Here again, just kind of scraping everything out. this little joint right here behind the extractor collects quite a bit. Here we go. Let's get a little more light. There we go. This little joint right here, I don't know if you can really see that, right in here collects quite a bit of schmutz. It's kind of usually won't just come off with a brush, and so that's where having a little set of dental picks comes in handy. You just basically scrape away until you see the color of the metal underneath. Alright, it's probably about as good as I'm going to get with that. I will actually break out my gun cleaning kit here. I'm running out of space and clear some room. Yeah, you can see all that. Alright. Move some of this out. Don't get the gun cleaning kit here. This just has bore brushes, more Q-tips, the funnier shaped dental picks I don't use a lot but are nice to have. In this scenario, just have one of these blue nylon Otis brushes. They come like they're supposed to go on a cleaning rod, but I actually find they're really handy just to kind of use handheld because you can get into spots like this. So just put a little solvent all over this. We're going to wipe it all out later, but I'm going to just go to town. This gun is mostly, I'd say, of the 5,000 to 10,000 rounds or whatever since it's been really cleaned. It was mostly tight group, some unique. Honestly, I couldn't tell you if people say that's a clean powder or dirty powder. I don't worry too much about that because at the end of the day, these guns actually are pretty forgiving of running dirty, and you just get used to cleaning them every, I don't know, couple months or so, and you get good at it, right? You get efficient at it. It's just like shooting. If you're deliberate and you have clear goals, you can blitz through it pretty quickly. Obviously, I'm going a little bit slower because I'm also talking while I'm doing this. I'm trying to make sure the camera has a good view of everything. But, you know, you just find the spots that the gunk accumulates and you clean those out. Oh, there's another one. Right here under the extractor, you'll get a lot there. That's where having a real nice right angle like this guy helps. You just scrape until you feel the metal. Solvent is actually, having the solvent on there is pretty nice because it makes it so when the stuff flakes off, it kind of turns into a goop that sticks that you can wipe off instead of just kind of flaking and going everywhere. So that's pretty handy. So those are the main kind of surgical areas that I clean, and after that, pretty much just start going crazy, just wiping everything down. Again, one end wet, one end dry. I'm actually just cleaning the outside first, just so I'm not getting as much crap on my hands. I can just get a good grip on this. And then I will actually take a Q-tip. You got to kind of jam it a little bit, but you can actually get it to fit inside this extractor groove. I really like to kind of get that one nice and clean. And we'll see how many it takes, but usually it takes more than one. But I'll still do the kind of wet-dry alternation. Yeah, so even the dry one got quite a bit. And as with most cleaning, I'm not really looking as I go. I just kind of look at the Q-tip, and when it stops coming out dirty, then it's like, okay, job done, move on. Ah, come on. There we go. Yeah, and sometimes Q-tips just have a slight bit more cotton. I just don't want to go, but it's all good. Alright. So that one only took about 2, and now you can see, I mean, it's pretty darn clean in there. It's not spotless, but it's not really that much going on in there. Just wipe this guy off. Just take the pointy pick and just kind of run it. Just try and get anything that was kind of hiding in the corners. So one thing Q-tips aren't great at is corners. Alright. So that's from the outside. Now we'll come from the other side. And just go down through here. I mean, you can... Nice thing with this is unlike a Glock or something where you're kind of worried about pushing, I guess, I don't know, some people say, you got to be worried about pushing crap down into the firing pin channel. Well, the firing pin channel comes out right there. So anything that you push down there, I'll sort of run another Q-tip at the end from the other side, just in case I did push anything down there. And it'll pretty much clear that out. And, you know, stuff really gets up in the front corners there. Well, you know, here's the firing pin. So it's not even really touching the corners that much. Whereas with a Glock, the striker is kind of flat and stubby faced. And so if you do get stuff really compacted down in there, potentially, I guess, your striker wouldn't come all the way out. So I don't know what the solution is for that. I have a Glock. I used to shoot a Glock in IDPA for a while, but I haven't put the kind of round counts that I put on this thing. I'm sure Glock guys can tell me what the solution is for that, but I don't know it. So I kept these ones because the other end was still good, but I can't put it in the firing pin channel because I basically have to grab it by the other end. But so we'll just do another one of these, swirl it around a little bit in there, try and get everything out. Yeah, just a little bit more. Do a dry one just for funsies. Good enough. Alright, so the firing pin's pretty much done. We'll wipe that stuff down before we put it in. So I'll just do one quick one right here on the back. This is obviously not really a functional part. If anything, having a little bit extra friction on your firing pin stop isn't a problem, but hey, we got it open, so might as well clean it off. Alright. That a little more scrubbing. Just wipe it down with a paper towel. We'll put that guy here so we don't lose him. Alright. So that's pretty much cooking. Now we just clean out the inside of the slide, which doesn't require too much rocket science. Just kind of spray a whole bunch of stuff in there. I'll take one of these guys and just kind of wad it up and go in from the front. Just try and wipe out all that dirty solvent. Barrel head right here is where a lot does collect. I've got bore patches right here, you can see, but it's easy enough to just rip up some paper towels. Yeah. Hops, it's wonderful stuff. I lied. Sometimes Q-tips actually do work fine just for corners. I'll clean out the grooves in the barrel hood. Do kind of one pass through. Same Q-tip. Go through, do a clean one. Toss that. Do another one. Wet pass. Dry pass. So just a little bit in the corners. Just scrape that out. Do another dry one, hold it upside down so gravity works for us. Cool, good enough. I'll probably just do another. Still see a little bit of dirt. I'll just run my finger through with a paper towel. Good to go. Let's see. Start tossing these. If I were a smarter person, I probably would rip a bunch of these up to start with and just keep them, but I'm not, so I don't. Cool. So I'll just put that over there to dry. Start wiping this stuff down. Again, I like to put the solvent on the small part and then hold it and hold the brush and move the small part. So you can see this thing's looking filthy because it's basically stirring up everything, but then you just wipe it down. Use your fingernail to get in the grooves there, even though in theory they shouldn't be making contact. At least it gives dirt somewhere to go until I clean this whole shebang next. Yeah, looks like a little dot of something right there in the firing pin. Block hole thingy. So just scrape that right out. Easy peasy. Cool. Good enough. Alright, so that's clean. I'll just pull the spring out of this guy, put him right there for a second. Here again. A little bit of solvent. Hold the brush, move the part. Which is definitely kind of tough on this guy. It's a very slippery little part. Because it's smooth at the top. Get the solvent on there and it just starts wiggling around, but you just got to loosen all the dirt up. Once you're done with that, just wipe it down. Yeah, good enough. Let's see if we can go at that with a little bit stiffer brush. Now that it's dry, it's kind of caked on, so we'll escalate the force, and the pick does the job. So again, just loosen everything up. Let the brush kind of collect it and spread out the solvent so everything goops up. Wipe it down. That is more than good enough. Alright, put the spring back in. That guy's clean. Extractor's clean. I'll just give that another look. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's good. I do like to wipe this guy down just a little bit. Just makes it easier to take apart. Because if this gets really gunky, sometimes it's hard going through the barrel. Yeah, I mean, that's all pretty dirty, but I don't really care. We'll just do a quick wipe down of the outside of the barrel. So I'll get another paper towel. This is one where the solvent does a lot of the work for you. Nice stiff copper or bronze or brass or whatever this is. Brownish metal bristle brush. And just do a little back and forth twisting motion down the feed ramp. Wipe it all off. Good enough. Scrape out the corners. The brush didn't really get, which doesn't really matter because it's not a fitted part. That surface is not a fitting surface. Wipe out the grooves with this paper towel. Boom. And honestly, I don't even really usually bother with cleaning the bore. I don't know if it's blue bullets or the rifling or what, but it doesn't really, I can't really see that much accumulating, and the accuracy never really seems to be impacted, so I usually don't bother. Maybe once or twice a year I will, but this video has gone on long enough, so let's put everything back together. So we got our slide. First thing that goes is the extractor. And so that'll go back in the reverse order, so we get the spring. Put that guy in there. Put the extractor in here. And then we're going to do the reverse of what we did to get it out. Where's my... There it is. Brass punch. So I'll put the punch in the hole. And then I'll press until I feel it drop in. Yeah, sometimes... One downside to hops is it definitely makes the gun slippery when you're trying to reassemble. Get a brace on something sometimes. Come on. Dang it. All right, so I cannot get a good grip. So what I'm gonna do, take a little 99% rubbing alcohol, just spray it on my hands as a degreaser, wipe it off on the paper towel. Much better. Okie doke. Let's try this again. Again, let gravity work for you. Hold the extractor in. Hold it. Push in. Hey, and there we go. So you can see its pin is being held in. So I'm going to just take it to the edge of the table. Use the brass end of the hammer. No punch needed. Drops out. Disappears in Narnia. So now the punch is in there, but it's not fully inserted. So we take our punch back on the other side. And I just go until it's flush with the top of the slide. So it's a little bit indented there. Give it another whack. Good enough. So I'm not trying to go until it's flush here. That also makes it easier to hammer back out next time because I got a little groove that the punch will sit in instead of it going fully flush, and then I got to kind of hold the punch just to get it to hit just right. All right, extractor and extractor spring are back in. So we will do firing pin block, firing pin spring, firing pin. Firing pin spring, by the way, is the Patriot Defense reduced power one. It's pretty much the only Patriot Defense part that I actually use. Just because really with the spring like that, you don't need it to be very strong, but it's also not really a wear item. It's not something that really breaks. And just having it be, versus like taking a spring and clipping coils, I like the fact that it's got the full number of coils, which means that less chance of it actually sticking in the breech face, because the more coils basically just physically can't travel far enough to get there. Okie doke. So we'll do that, and then we'll start with the lubrication. And I put my my supplies down here to be easier to reach, but it's actually, I keep absentmindedly looking up where the camera is for them. So I'll just put a little lube on, just run it on the empty slide rails, just to spread it out. Nope, not solvent. In fact, let's put the cap on the solvent because we're done with it now. Put the cap on this solvent too. Alright. Yeah. Using a very worn, almost empty bottle of Kuda Lube. I've got another one. I actually bought another one because that bottle started feeling pretty light. So I'll just kind of try and get it so that it slides in between the barrel hood as I put the barrel in. I don't know how important this stuff is. I just kind of have always done it. And I'll just put a little bit around the crown here. And then sort of as I slowly bring it in, it'll just kind of capillary action its way around. I figure that's, I don't know. I don't know if it matters, but it hasn't hurt yet. Drop that sucker in. Put my Henning cone fit guide rod. Which that's definitely an improvement. Even shooting 9mm, high round counts at 9mm. I was noticing a tiny little bit of peening with the stock guide rod, and so I figured it's like I don't know how much it was, but it wasn't expensive. And put this all back together. Oof, yeah, that trigger is definitely gritty. That gun is, I mean, it's easily shootable, like just for funsies on camera. Let's see what this thing is today. I only got one of these about, I don't know, 6 months or a year ago. P10, I don't even know what that means. Okay. Mostly just, all right. 8.5. 8.9. Yeah. Some days it's 7, some days it's 8. Yeah, it's like that when it went at 7.10. Oh, if I pull it really slow, it doesn't want to go. Decouple the hammer there. So let's try just pulling nice through. Whoop. Huh, 6.10 if you pull all the way through. What does that tell you? There's a problem with trigger pull weights, you know? Yeah, so, you know, if I go real slow, it's a 9-pound trigger. If I just pull through, it's a 7. So, or 7.5, 7.75, whatever. So, actually, let's see about the single. Oop. Two and a half. Pull it slow, it's 3.5. 2? Doesn't seem right. Yeah, so that's trigger, and that's dirty. The single probably won't change too much when I clean it up. The double will loosen up a little bit. But so that's the top end nice and clean. Only other thing I'll be doing soon, whenever the new front sight comes in, I'll replace that sucker. But and then probably in that same session, that roll pin is slightly off center. Let me tap that guy. Probably in that same session or sometime when I've got, say, 45 minutes. Because let's see. So this has been about a half-hour video. So maybe it's only about half an hour. Half an hour, 45 minutes to clean the lower. And I'll do that sometime before the NC section match. And before nationals. Have a couple good pasta blasters.